So, Carmen.
Hey, Tracy.
Hey, boo. I was, I was thinking about you and I the other day, and I'm like, when was like the official meeting for you and I? When did we just know each
I
other?
do not remember.
Like I was thinking about, I said, me and Carmen, we've been rocking for 25 years, and I just don't
25.
remember. I just don't remember that first time we met officially. I don't know. All I remember is you just next door, and Paula was your roommate,
And
and
Dasha was yours.
Sasha was my roommate, and we was just hanging out in each other's rooms. I just did, and then there was Coralda, and then there was Pat. I
And Fredonna would stop through every now and then.
Hey, I guess it's just one of those things where it just happens, you know. So, you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Aye! Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, to the very, very first podcast of Legends of the Fall. The purpose of this series of podcasts is to just kind of like go over, I just want to say, commemorate the 25th anniversary of the incoming class of fall 1997, Dr. Foster's official last class. We like to call ourselves the last class under the law, the last class under the baton. And it's a brainchild of my freshman sister, Carmen Nolan, actually Carmen Johnson, but Carmen Nolan now. And she hit me up one day. It's like, Trace, I got an idea for this podcast where we have different subjects and we interview our freshman brothers and sisters to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Fall 97, which is this fall. And I said, you know what, Carmen? That's an excellent idea. And she's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, let's do it. So this is the brainchild of Mrs. Carmen Johnson Nolan. And I'm here to play sidekick. You know what I mean? I just love being a sidekick. I like riding shotgun on interesting and fun projects like these. And I'm just so glad that she has me on this journey with her. Carmen, what you got to say about the podcast?
Well, I'm excited. I couldn't imagine anybody else to do this with other than Tracy because, like she said, we don't know how we got together, but fourth floor, Pattyfoot dorms, corner pocket, room 414D. Do you remember your room number?
401D, corner pocket.
Exactly.
Pattyfoot. Rest in peace to Pattyfoot, though.
Right? Right? R.I.P. Pattyfoot. But the
Gosh,
tree is still there.
the memories are still there.
The
Memory
tree is still there.
tree is still there. The Pattyfoot tree. We're gonna talk about the Pattyfoot tree in a minute, but we
Definitely.
also gotta give a special, huge thanks and shout out to our freshman brother, Mr. Norman Ali. He's in the back. Oh, wait, there he
Hey,
goes.
Norm.
No.
Hey guys. Pew, 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 pew. Pew.
He is the producer, video, and audio engineer of this project. And without him as the technical brains behind this would not be possible. So, big shout out to our freshman brother, Norman Ali. So, shout out to Norman, shout out to Norman.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Carmen. And I am just honestly really excited to be a part of it. And so, once the idea came about, it was an easy decision. And so I'm just excited to see where this goes and just to see what us as a class can impart to the future of the 100. And so, that being said, I am going back into the background and I'm going to turn it back to you guys.
Yeah. So Carmen, how it all started. Now, you're from
Um,
Tulsa,
got it.
Oklahoma. How
Yes,
was
also
that?
known as Black Wall Street.
Mm.
Now we've had our own legacy though when it comes to marching bands. The earliest photos that I saw in my high school of the marching band go back to 1939. So we've got some history in our own right. But the difference is though we tended to take more of a swag style. So our bands were patterned off of Grambling University, Langston University in Langston, Oklahoma, and our band camp we would attend band camp at Grambling. So going to FAM, it was totally different, learning a totally different style. But
Gee.
one Thanksgiving, I saw the 100 perform on BET, and it was something about the rattler, seeing them rattle and seeing those snakes on the uniforms all the way down to pants leg. I said, Mama, I want to go to FAMU. And that's all she wrote. Once I had that thought in my head, I couldn't get rid of it. I knew I wanted to be a part of the 100.
Amazing.
And so I just figured out a way to make it happen. So
Amazing.
for me, my path into the 100 came by way of ROTC. I knew I didn't have the funds. I knew my mother wasn't able to pay for me to go to school. So for me, applying for that scholarship, that gave me the funding and the way, for me to attend school. And so for me, that's all she wrote. I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I put that goal in my head and made it happen. And so once I applied for that scholarship, it was a whole process. I had to travel all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Oklahoma State University, do an interview, physical fitness test. It was a whole process. And so in the spring of 1997, got that letter saying, welcome, acceptance into FAMU. I did a cartwheel in the hallway at my high school when I got that acceptance for the scholarship.
I
And then
love it.
shortly after that scholarship acceptance, I got the FAMU acceptance letter. So another cartwheel down the hallway. So yeah, that was my path. Was funded by way of ROTC, but my passion was playing in the band. I played clarinet all the way through from the 6th grade all the way through 12th grade. So had a long time playing, and so that was just that opportunity to play at another level, at a higher level, and the rest is history. So what
Oh,
about you, Tracy? How'd
now,
you come to
now just thinking about Tulsa, Oklahoma. See, I came out of Miami, Florida. I went to Miami Norland Senior High School, and that one in itself, the Miami bands, I like to call it the golden era of Miami high school bands, where just about everybody's band director during that time, from the, I want to say from the mid 80s up until like 96, 97, 98, came from FAMU. So we were fed a steady diet of FAMU since ninth grade. But I'll tell you this. Y'all don't like come outside my condo with pitchforks. Okay. All right, cool. So I was watching BET one night. It was like 7th grade. And they had like this documentary of black college marching bands. They showed Jackson State, they showed Southern, they showed North Carolina. Did they show North Carolina A&T? I don't remember. But I do remember Grambling. I remember a lot of those schools from the SWAC. And then I remember seeing this orange and green band that I didn't even know existed in Tallahassee, Florida. And they did like, it was like they did like a pan over on the percussion section. And I saw that green uniform, and one of the guys, he didn't have a Shako on. He had on a green headband, and he had those symbols, and he was going. And I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. Right? And so fast forward to me attending Miami Norland, where my band director, the late great Kenneth Talbert, uh, the fall of 1993, that was like our first out of town band trip for the year, and it was to go to FAMU's homecoming. And we went to Tallahassee. All the Miami bands were there. Norland, Carroll City, Miami Central was there, and then there were other schools. There was the big, I called them the big blue and gold band out of Atlanta, SWD. when we saw SWD, and there was another maroon and gray high school out of Jacksonville. That was Rains, I believe. And we saw all the bands from Georgia, and then Miami, of course, because it was just that this tight knit community. And that's when I saw Southern for the first time, and I'm like, dang, they loud. But I will never forget hearing the 100 live, and they were playing Endless Love. I was
Wow.
I was sold. I was sold on the baritones alone. I mean, I played mellophone, French horn mellophone, but oh my gosh. I was like, it just sounds like water. I'm gonna go there. So it was like, dang, I've got to get to that school. And throughout high school, we always went to FAMU's homecoming. The first time I had my real life experience with the 100 for myself was when I went to band camp summer of 95. And that particular band camp was still on the old patch, right? So it was on the old patch. It was still there because in 96, they were building the water retention pond, from what I remember. And the general classroom building was built across the way. So we had to have Band Camp 96 at FAMU DRS. So in 95, that's when I met um, a lot of the guys and gals that eventually would be my freshman brothers and sisters in 97. And I know we got to explain some terms for the people because they're gonna be like, what's freshman brother and sister,
Yes.
what's that about? But yeah, coming from Miami, coming from South Florida, where we were fed a steady diet of FAMU, that's all we know. So I mean, Carmen, when you and I met and you were like, yeah, I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. You had the cutest southern from Tulsa. I was like, what the what?
I didn't know what I was getting into. I knew I just wanted to be a part of it.
And I was like, who is this cute little thing from Tulsa, Oklahoma with this sweet little southern accent? I was like, wow. Because southern accents, Dade County was like a melting pot because we have Bahamians, we have Jamaicans, we have Trinidadians and Tobagans and whatnot. So we had everybody from the islands. So there was really no accents, save for a couple of slang terms and whatnot. But when I heard your accent for the first time, I was like, what in the world? But yeah, Norm, if you can get on in here and talk about life in Jacksonville. What was it like, in Jayville? What they call it, Duval?
Yeah,
Duval.
yeah, Duval. That
Duval.
wow, that sounded kind of weak. All right, Duval, don't judge me.
Come on, Norm.
I know, I know. I'm getting old. So, life as a band member in Jacksonville in the mid '90s. I went to Paxson Senior High School, and that school was not, I would say, heavily FAMU influenced. The actual band director at the time was from Bethune Cookman, and
Mm.
so a lot of our marching style at the time was obviously patterned behind Bethune Cookman. We've seen FAMU and we've heard of them, but what really sold it for me was our bass drummer and band captain at the time, Chris Sapp. He went to FAMU. He joined the 100 in '96, and homecoming '96. Me and another friend of mine from the high school band, we visited him during homecoming, and we were able to sit behind the band, and the sound, like we weren't even facing the band directly, but just that sound that came out. So Tracy, you mentioned Endless Love. I think for me it was um Sweet Love, Anita Baker.
Woo!
Mm,
Hearing
yes.
that in
Yes.
'96, And at that point, I knew I could not go back to high school my senior year the same. And it was at that moment I was sold. I was sold. And the rest was history. The rest was history.
And that's what it seems like it is for everyone. It's that
That
point.
one
It's
song.
what you see and what you hear. It changes your mind, and everything else pales in comparison to it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, gosh, I'll never forget. Um, 93 homecoming. It was freezing, and it's like we're down in South Florida, so it really doesn't get that cold
I was
down
gonna
here.
say now Miami freezing versus freezing.
Oh wow, listen, Tulsa,
Yeah. 60
Oklahoma.
degrees is freezing in Miami.
We ain't built for that. We subtropical down here. But the funny thing is, in '93, fall of '93, when we went to that homecoming, it was rainy. I just remember it was rainy and it was mucky and it was wet and it was humid. But good God, by 1 o'clock that Saturday, the wind started getting a little breezy. By 2 o'clock, the temperature started dropping. By the time the game started at about, I think it started about 3 o'clock. Oh my gosh, it was cold. It was cold. And I couldn't understand how the FAMU students, at homecoming, some of them were still walking around with t-shirts, light jackets. And you could hear somebody say, "Oh, it feels good out here." Us from Miami, all we had on was our band uniforms. We were like, "It's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold." I felt sorry for the majorettes that day. I felt sorry for them. All they had on was the little sparkly little bathing suits and the little stockings and the boots. They was cold as heck. They didn't know what to do. Sorry if there's any majorettes watching who attended FAMU's homecoming in '93. Suck to be you. I'm just saying. But anyway, but endless love. Hearing endless love push across that field. Whew. I said, yeah, I want to be in that number. That was the moment where I said I want to be in that number.
Yep, we all got our moments. So tell
Oh,
me, Tracy, so coming up on French Horn, and when we say coming up, that means your freshman year, the year when you hear us say coming up in the 100, that's the first year that you marched in the 100. So
mm-hmm.
tell me though, what made you decide, one, why did you choose French Horn? And two,
Oh,
what was that experience like coming on French Horn in the fall of 97?
awesome sauce. So why did I choose French horn? So I'm gonna just take it back. My very, very first instrument, believe it or not, was the trumpet. That was my
Ah,
very. I played trumpet sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. No, sixth and seventh grade, and then I made the switch to French horn in eighth grade because at the time my middle school band director was like, "I need you on French horn. You have the sound. You have it." So she changed. She changed me from beginning band to advanced band, and she put me on French horn, and that's how that came to be. So
okay.
I know I was gonna come up on French horn. All right, so because I knew how to play trumpet, it was very easy to transfer over to mellophone, right? So I knew I wasn't gonna play trumpet coming up in 100. I knew that was not. That was no. No, no offense to my freshman brothers or sister, Hubba Deidre,
Khadija.
who came up in '97 on trumpet. God bless you guys, but not the kid. So French horn, French horn. I just knew that when I went to Camp 95, and that was the first time I met who at that time was there from the mellophone section. Marvin Johnson. There was Lorenda. Kwanzaa wasn't there yet. Kwanzaa was still at Burke. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Oh, I think no, it wasn't him. There was somebody else. Eddie Bugs. That was in '95. Eddie Bugs. Um, Benjamin McKnight came down for the honors band. he came down for honors band, and there was another gentleman, Matthew Geiger, but that was his last name, Geiger. But either way, from that experience, and of course, they all knew that I came from Miami Norland, Mr. Talbert. So it was like, okay, so we have one of Mr. Talbert's kids. We used to call each other, they used to call us Talbert's kids. One of Mr. Talbert's kids is coming to FAMU. Uh, Now, as a young lady coming from a predominantly male section, like the brass section, in high school, I was already used to being around a whole bunch of guys. It was almost like second nature. You have to kind of conduct yourself in a manner being around a bunch of guys who are playing trombone, baritone, trumpet, tuba. And if I could get through Norland at the time, being one of the three girls in the brass section, then I knew that if I focused hard enough and worked hard enough, I can get to, I can actually make it being one of the very few women in the brass section in the 100. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be hard, and I knew it was not going to be a cakewalk. So let me go ahead and put this disclaimer out. Our views, our views, what is it, Carmen? Our views do not represent Florida
The
A&M.
opinions expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views of Florida A&M University nor the Marching 100.
Yes, let's put that out there real quick. I was like, before I start talking about it, let's put that disclaimer. I knew it was not going to be easy. Let's just get that out of the way, because you have these guys that have been marching and playing for years, and you get to the 100, and that's another echelon of difficulty. That's another echelon of musicality and athletic strength, with the marching and the point and drive and the rattling, you know, hitting the 90s while playing, music that you had to learn like 3 or 4 days earlier. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be hard. I had to. I'm naturally well. No, I'm not. Well, then I was very quiet, because I was going to say, well, I'm quiet. No, I'm not. But
In
but
certain situations,
in
Tracy.
certain situations, I'll say this: in certain situations, I'm very quiet. They say, coming up in '97 as a female playing horn, playing mellophone, and then coming into this male dominated section, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna just shut my mouth, and I'm gonna just I felt that, if I be quiet hard enough, they'll forget I'm here. If I be quiet hard enough, they'll just forget I'm here. And that's how I earned my band name. But we ain't gonna talk about my band name. But I
You
knew.
want to go there. You want to go there.
Oh no! I knew it was gonna be hard. I knew it was gonna be hard as a female coming up in the brass section in the 100 during that time.
But you
With,
did it though. You made it
I
through.
made it. Shoot, God,
You
dang.
made it.
It was hard. Let's just say it was hard. It wasn't easy. And at that time, to be able to say, as a woman in the brass section, that wasn't given. It just wasn't given away freely.
You earned it.
You had to earn. You had to earn it. Nobody was gonna be like, "Oh, you're a woman in the brass. We're just gonna pet glove." No, because you know what? When I came, Lorenda Hamilton was my section leader. And the year before, Kwanzaa Washington, she was fall 96. She was there. So you already had two.
They
There were no
paved the way.
They paved the way, but there were no excuses. So, what made me wanna play horn and come up in the 100. I was already playing French horn. I was already, and plus I had the trumpet background, which was made it very easy to switch over to mellophone fairly quickly. Now, what about you, Carmen? Clarinet? Was your band core style or traditional?
No, not at all. On clarinet, my first instrument actually was cello. I played in the orchestra, fourth and fifth grade. But in
Really?
the right, yeah, in the city of Tulsa, the instruments were based on the elementary school. So I just happened to attend an elementary school that had all string instruments. But when I
Okay.
went to middle school, there were no string instruments. It was all wind instruments. And so when I came home, I said, "Hey, mom, there's no cellos here. There's only wind instruments." So I
Mhm.
had to make a choice and pretty much just choose what I wanted to play. And my
Mhm.
mom actually played cello. I'm sorry, she played clarinet as a kid. So she had one. She said, "You know what? I got a clarinet." So she put it in the horn, she put it in the shop, got it
Mhm.
refurbished, and she connected me with an old friend who was an elementary school music teacher at another school. He got me some lessons on clarinet, and the rest is history. I fell in love with it. So yeah, I played clarinet from sixth all the way through 12th grade. Never wanted to play anything else but that.
Okay.
But as far as the band though, we played the same style that you see Langston University, SWAC style, Jackson State, Grambling. Like we played a lot of their fanfares. A lot of our style was patterned after them. So the endurance part of it, the marching, that part was there. I knew how to do that. But the style, the point and drive, our version of marching, the 100 would call that pancaking. We didn't point and drive. We focused on 90,
Oh.
the point and the drive. So technique wise, had to adjust to that. And then just music wise, because the music that we played was more so fanfare type music. um, when I got that music package in the mail, I had to start from scratch. So had never played any of it. So it was a
Ooh.
pretty steep hill to climb to go from having never played in Storm and Sunshine, never played marches, to having to learn that and learn how to march. All of that all at the same time. So yeah, it was a
Jeez, girl,
pretty
so
steep.
you were already coming in behind the eight ball because a lot of us we were already playing "Oh Happy Day" and "Backstabbers" and
Right,
SOS.
none of that. Not a piece of it. Not a sheet
So
of
you
it.
had to learn all those marches: Purple Carnival, Circus B, Americans
Steep
We
hill to
Got.
climb.
Oh my gosh, Purple Carnival,
But
Circus
somehow
B.
figured it out. And I think too, just being I did sports all the way through high school. I swam my entire time in high school. So have just physically having that endurance, I always marched and played a sport at the same time. So the
Mhm.
endurance piece that was there physically, but also learning the music on top of that additional challenge. And just coming into a college where I didn't know a soul, not one person from Tulsa, Oklahoma was on campus at that time.
Mhm. Wow.
Not having that alumni or upperclassmen to fall in on. The only person from my high school that played in the 100 is Marna Renteria. She came up, I don't want to say the year that she came up incorrectly, but I know she is, I believe she's Victor Gaines' freshman sister. I
Okay.
think they came up the same year because I know he always told me that her band name was Resume. So it was 80 something. I want to say 87, but I may not be correct. So I don't want to mess it up.
You don't want Vic to come. Oh, yeah. Hey, Vic. Hey, Vic.
But yeah, that was it. Outside of that, I told my band director where I wanted to go, and he said, "Well, Marta Renteria went there." That was what he always told me. So I said, "Hey, if one person has been there, then I can get there too." So that's what pushed me through. But yep, the rest is history, Tracy. We both came from way different parts of the country, but
Wow.
we made it through. We showed up for pre-drill, and I think at some point, once we realized, okay, we're both in the 100. Okay, we're walking to the same way heading to
I
practice.
think
We're
that's how
walking
it
to the
started.
same going to practice, and I
I
think that's just how it started. We were always 3:35 heading to the same place, and after practice was over,
think,
heading over to the calf and heading back to Patty Foot. So it
yeah.
went from there.
That's how it started. That's
Yep, that's how it
I ain't
all
gonna lie.
started.
I ain't gonna lie. When you told me you were from Tulsa, Oklahoma, I was like, they got black people over there.
Yes, I still remember that first night when I introduced myself. Remember freshman night,
Right when we
we
had
had to
to.
all stand up and introduce ourselves. And when I said
Mhm.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was so many different comments, so many different whispers. And then afterwards, upperclassmen, where you from? They got black people over there. Y'all march over there. Y'all chorus stop. Just tons of questions, tons of questions.
Like it's
But the one
like
thing that I loved about the 100 though is no one ever made me feel like I should not be there because of where I was from.
right.
It might be for other reasons, but it was never due to where I was from. And so that is one thing I will always love about my class, and I will love about the 100 cuz everybody just embraced me. They knew, I think 97 fall 97 knew that I came from somewhere where no one else was. But it was all love. Everybody embraced me as if I was one of their own. No one ever made me feel like I didn't belong there. So I think that's why I might, cling to our class a little bit more, because I didn't have, that I didn't have alumni or upperclassmen to really fall back on. So
Yeah, we had to
um
take care of you. We had to, yeah,
yeah, everybody
we had
kind
to
of
take
looked
care
out.
of you. Tulsa, come here, come here, come here, babe, come here,
Definitely.
come here. Because it's like you had Miami, then there was you had the cluster from Miami, then you had a
Hmm.
few from Orlando. You had the Duval crew, then you had the Atlanta crew, and then there was a time where we had I don't know. I think by that time, that period where we had some kids from Louisiana to attend FAMU and come up in the 100, that already passed. I don't think we
A
had
little
anybody.
bit of Louisiana, a little bit of Detroit.
We had the Southfield, Michigan crew.
Michigan, yes, Southfield,
Shout out to
Southfield.
Steve and Francesca. Shout out to Southfield, Michigan, man. Shout out. We gotta represent Michigan. But it's like outside of those known clusters, it was like, here came Carmen, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're like, come here, baby, come here. We got you.
I think the closest I could get though was our freshman sisters that came out of Texas.
Yes, we
Kwanzaa,
did. We had a cluster from
Demetria.
Texas
Yeah, yeah.
and Kwanzaa.
So
Yeah,
there,
we
there
had a
was
we,
a
we had
small
we had some
group
Texas
coming out
up
of
in the house.
Texas. I think that was little slice of home, little
Let's
slice of
slice them
home.
home. Wait, you just brought back a memory. With the
What?
night we had to introduce ourselves to the upperclassmen. That was what they called the merge, right?
Hmm.
Because we had pre-drill for like a week, and then we all like, yeah, the upperclassmen Sunday they're coming back. They're coming, and it's like, what's that gonna be? So we're all standing in a long line outside of Foster Tanner, and we're going into the band room, and we were singing FAMU Spirit, and we walking in, and you see all these upperclassmen. It was like, I remember that night. We were, oh my God. I remember that night. What was it like for you, Carmen, that night where we all had sectionals and how everybody had to like go with their sections and play with the upperclassmen for the first time? Like, what was that like? You coming from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and getting to know all this music, and now you're playing with the upperclassmen along with your freshman brothers and sisters in the clarinet section. What was that feeling like that night?
See, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what I was in for. You
You were
know?
just like, oh, okay, we're playing with the upperclassmen.
Yeah, I was just going with it. Right, right.
The
And
rest
so
of
I
us
was
were like,
taking it all in, trying to figure it out, figuring out my way through it.
yeah. Mhm.
It in some ways it was almost like stepping, I don't want to say a totally different planet, but it truly was. It was stepping
Mhm.
into the unknown. So I was figuring it out as literally as I was going. Didn't know what to expect from day to day. So I just tried to do what I could, take it one day at a time, learn as much as I could, soak it all up. Because I didn't know what was to come, I didn't have any trepidations. I didn't have any fears because I didn't know what was coming.
No.
I was just like, hey, I was more just excited to be here. Because
Like,
from
I am very
aside from
happy to be here.
right, I really was. I was excited just to be at FAMU, aside from the 100. And not
Mhm.
only that, on top of what was going on with the 100, I was also doing things with ROTC on top of that. So I was juggling. I definitely had a lot of balls in the air and was just figuring it out as I went along.
You had that. You had layers of stuff to
Had to
do.
had to make it work.
Gosh,
So
you know.
another question for you, Tracy, and this is something that I will ask this throughout the season as we talk to all our classmates is
Mhm.
what did the marching 100 give you?
Oh man, a lot. Oh, what can I say? The number one thing it gave me was discipline. So there's no excuses, right? People want to make excuses to do things, and it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't. It was like, if you learn this music, learn this dance routine, learn the show, put this uniform on, because you got a job to do. Who cares, right? I remember when I think it was a hurricane. I don't remember if it was September. I don't remember what it was. But Dr. White had said something to the effect of, they don't yeah, these people, they don't care about whatever. They're coming to see a show, right? So take that and flip that to, okay, in your professional life, nobody cares if you, not saying nobody cares if you're sick, because but it's like, you got to show up. And that was one of the things. My biggest takeaway from the 100 was, you got to show up with no excuses, period.
Exactly.
um
Prepared.
Prepared, show up prepared, with
Prepared.
no excuses. Leadership, how to be a good leader, you know, how to be a good chief, how to be a good Indian, right?
Yes, how to follow.
How
How
to
to
follow,
follow.
how to lead, and how to follow. Because with all of those people, you have a section leader, an assistant section leader, and you have your rank sergeants, right? Then you have your drum majors, and then you have the band staff. So with 300, 400 pieces, it's like, this is not the time for everybody to be, as we Jamaicans would call it. You have a saying in Jamaica, say, own way. If your own way, your own way. You had to do, you kind of had to, you just, not kind of, you had to do as you were told. In order to be a good leader, you had to be a good follower. So
Exactly.
definitely learned that, how to move as a unit, how to move as a unit, how to move individually, but how to move as a unit, like off the top of my head. Also perseverance, right?
Yes.
Out here, just out here, and I call it the regular world and whatnot, because when we were at FAMU, that was a whole different experience, and especially in the marching band. Um, Definitely hard work and perseverance. Hard work and perseverance. It was not easy to learn two thick packets of music, and those were just the standards. That wasn't the weekly show music. You had to know the music. You had to persevere through all of that. Rehearsal, learning the dance routine, and then putting it all together. When people complain about, oh, I was in the gym for only 30, 45 minutes and I wanted to stop. I'm like, now granted, I'm 25 years removed from having rehearsals from 3 to 6, and then run to get to the calf that sometimes there wasn't no food, and then come back to the band drill field in time for sectionals at 7, and then run rehearsal from 7:30 until 11 o'clock at night. That was like a 40. It was like a second job, but it's like the perseverance and the athleticism and the endurance, and just those things that have become the bedrock of who I am as a person today. When I tell people I was in the marching 100, okay? When I come out here, I'm a cyclist, and I'm a part of bike groups, and it's kind of, and when I see the ups and downs and things of that nature, and people like, oh, I want to do this, and I'm like, it looks good when everybody has on the same jersey. It looks good when everybody falls in line and does what it's supposed to do. It looks good when everybody's coming together and moving as a unit, because that's all I know. I've been in music organizations for years, and the 100 has definitely given me um, jewels and nuggets that are a part of the foundation of who I am as a person. What about you, Carmen? What did the 100 give you?
I think similarly, some of the things that you said, I definitely learned how to be part of a team, and just the identity of not wanting to let the group down, or
Right.
even just the group the group think. You know, I was on the more introverted side when I first came to fam, and I will always remember JT. I think I told you about this before, how he saw me
JT,
sitting
John
on the step.
Thomas, Miami Jackson's finest.
Yes, he saw me sitting by myself because, of course, I didn't know anyone. So literally, I know where I'm supposed to be at, but I didn't know anyone, and so I was just sitting there by myself, waiting on everybody to show up. I don't remember if we were getting ready to go to practice, go to the field, or what. But he said, you don't have to be by yourself. Don't let me see you by yourself. You
Mhm.
have your freshman brothers and sisters. Stay with them, learn them. They're going to look out for you. And so, and he even said that too within your section, be with your section, get to know them. And so I
Mhm.
listened to that, and I took him up on that. So deeper than just knowing your music, knowing how to play, but you've also have to get along with the people that you're on the field with. You may not have to like them, but you do have to learn how to work together. So I think what that's taught me, no matter where I'm at in the world, no matter what desert I'm in, is learning how to be a part of a team, make that team dynamic work, and to get through it. In the military, we often say embrace the suck, but honestly, that started in the 100 because I learned how to embrace whatever, whether it was the weather you had to embrace, whether it was the long hours you had to embrace, whatever that was, just learning how to thrive within it, not wishing that it was over, but learning how can I thrive within this and move through this. And so, yeah, I think the 100 really did plant some seeds that a lot of times I would attribute to the military, but honestly, it started before that, those lessons I learned on the field. And so a lot of that was already planted within me, and I just took it with me, and it continued to bloom after my time in the 100.
Yeah, and then and then dealing with different personalities, right? Because we're working, we're grown folks now, right? And
Right.
we're working on these jobs and whatnot. We have coworkers, and it's like, why y'all gotta make stuff difficult? Why everybody gotta? At the end of the day, we got a job to do, and we get to go home.
Let's get it done. Let's
Let's
get
just
it
get it
done.
done, right? Why does somebody have to take all the credit for the project? It's like, no. So the 100 really taught me how to work with different personalities, and just know that it's like, and it's I'll even say this. No offense to my friends who did not participate in a marching band or organized activity, but like you could tell
Oh
who
yeah.
did
Oh
it
yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
different. It's like I can talk to like there's a group of band alumni that I'm a part of, and we all met on the fifthquarter.com. Shout out to Christy Walker and Mike Lee, the founders of the Fifth Quarter, where I've met folks from North Carolina A&T, Virginia State, Virginia Union, um, Winston-Salem State, Morris Brown, Clark. And it's like we all click because it's like we all have that background. We all have that background amongst each other. And it just brings people together when you already know, okay, I know what it's like to work under pressure. I know what it's like to hold my peace for the sake of. I
Right.
know what it's like,
For the greater good.
greater good. I know what it's like to get the heck in line and shut your mouth and, do this thing, and I know what it's like to you having to speak up and look out for people. So it's like you could tell. It's like the marching band just builds a certain level of character that a lot of people who didn't participate in organized sports or organized activities in college and in high school, they just don't have. It just gives a level. It just gives a level of depth. Just
Exactly.
gives a level of depth.
And even within my last unit, like right now, I'm still a part of the Army Reserves, and I just finished commanding a battalion, and my battalion sergeant major. So, and for civilians, that means he's my right hand, my senior enlisted sergeant. He played trombone, and so just knowing that he already came
Right? He
from
has
that,
that
I
background.
said, okay, now you know what time it is, so you know what we got to do. You know we got to get
Mhm.
it done. And not only that, and shout out to Sergeant Benny Johnson. He's Fall '94 bass drum marching 100. I recruited him to join my battalion, and so I already knew. I knew what his ethic was like, and so
Yep.
I knew, okay, you still in the reserves? Come join my battalion. But just knowing that work ethic, knowing all that comes along with being a part of the 100, of course I know he's going to do what he's got to do when it comes to him being a part of my unit. So it's universal. It's almost like we speak our own language. We already know what to expect from each other. So I think
And
that's
I
pretty awesome.
and I'm glad you brought up language because we got some language amongst ourselves. So freshman brother and freshman sister. What does that mean, Carmen?
To me, and I hope I'm getting it right, but my freshman brothers and sisters are those that I came up in the 100 with, meaning I matriculated at Florida A&M University in the fall of '97, which means that's also the year that I entered the Marching 100 as a freshman. So my freshman cohort are my freshman brothers and sisters. So I hope I got that definition right.
Ditto.
And
Ditto.
so as we go along, no, we'll continue to try to explain some of our jargon because we got our own culture, we have our
We
own
do.
language and our own norms. For anyone that's listening that's not familiar with HBCU culture, but yeah, Tracy, I think we're off to a good start though. I think it's about time for us to wrap it up. But I hope whether you're a band head, whether you're just a HBCU enthusiast, even for members of the class of '97 that came up, whether you went to FAMU, whether you went to whatever HBCU, I hope that those that listened that came up in '97, no matter where you were, that you can glean something from this, or even, have your own memories, or even record your own memories from your time in the fall of '97. And so the goal for this is just for us to record our own oral history, record our own stories, because who else can tell your own story but you?
That's big facts. That's big facts. And just kind of giving you all like a precursor to what we're gonna show you guys in the next couple of episodes. Like right now, this is like how it all got started, how me and Carmen met, where she came from, where I came from. How do we get to know about the 100? What do we learn from the 100? What do we experience from the 100? And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a treat. This series is definitely going to be a treat. Definitely yes for fall 97 because this year is our 25th anniversary, but also the classes that came up before us and after us. It'll be like a bit of a trip down memory lane, right, of what you all have experienced and learned. And even today, um 90s fall 97, we have our own group, we have our own chat and whatnot, and we lean on each other through thick and thin. It's been this way
Yes.
for years. The term freshman brother, freshman sister is very endearing to all of us. So you all are going to learn about fall 97. We are definitely a colorful bunch.
Yes,
I
we
can't
are.
we are a colorful bunch, but if any, we are a very loving bunch. It's just something special about 97. Something very special about 97. And we are so excited that we get to share this with you all. Hey Norm, so what you back there? You ain't back there taking a nap, eating a peanut butter jelly sandwich. What you doing back there, Norm?
Well, that pizza delivery finally arrived, so I'm good to go. Um,
I love it.
wow, you guys hit some really good points, and even just me kind of thinking, what the 100 has meant for me, and some of the things that was imparted for me, just kind of made me just kind of reflect, on my own. And so, like you guys said, we really hope this gives an opportunity to tell our story as a class, um, to give homage to those that came before us, and for those that are coming after us, what can we impart to future classes as a 97 class. And so, I'm excited for these upcoming episodes, and I'm ready to go.
Who says this? Elton. As freshman brother Elton would say, we got a fat trick. Norman is like, why? Norm, I think you had that face throughout the whole fall of 97.
Yes, our entire freshman year. Yes, he did.
Just why?